Welcome to the Orange County Funding Corp meeting of March 19th, 2025. I'd like to ask everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I have the roll call, please?
Yes, Jeffrey Christ.
Here.
Dean Tamburri.
Here.
Susan Walsky.
Here.
Linda Muller.
Here.
Giovanni Palladino.
Here.
Mark Green.
Here.
Dr. Vincent Oda.
Here.
That's like 7 of 7 numbers.
Full
here.
attendance.
Yes, terrific. For staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Riley, Marty Barras is remote. We have our general counsel, Lena Sharetta, our monitor, Brian Sandage, our AV team, Dylan and Billy from Acquisitions Marketing, and Ms. Melissa Zopp from PKF O'Connor Davies.
Marty can't hear you.
Oh, she can, okay. I don't know what that is, join audio. This is like that. Marty, can you hear us now? Great, thanks.
She can?
She can, good to go.
Good, okay. And you're done with the roll call, I believe.
Yes, sir.
The notice for this meeting is documented in our board packets that it was duly noticed. And I'd like to go to the approval consideration for the minutes of our February 19th meeting. Any additions, corrections, or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Susan, thank you. Second by Mark Green. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Excellent. We jotted in the chairman's report on both meetings today because there was a very exciting event just yesterday for the OCFC. And in line with our mission, there's a picture. You gave it away. I would just mention that this board approved the payment for the purchase of that generator that's behind us with the cat logo on it, and of course the food bank logo and new graphics. So we did a photo event to put with a press release that the food bank's working on that I don't know if it went out yet.
I didn't see any news on it though, but
Yeah, it should be here in the next day or so.
yes.
So
That's
though
awesome.
it was really neat.
It was, yes, they were very appreciative. We heard it from everyone involved in the organization. The distribution center is complete now, just about some finishing touches on the facade. It looks incredible. It's a gorgeous building, 50,000 square foot warehouse and distribution center. It's just gonna absolutely change the game in terms of fighting food insecurity around the entire region. Most of the food was coming out of Latham. They consider that their Albany location, Albany County. And now they have just as much inventory scheduled to be in Montgomery to feed the entire region down to Westchester. So it's a terrific project, very important for the community, and I'm personally glad we were part of it.
And in the picture on the right is Tom Nardacci, the CEO for the Regional Food Bank, which also has a, I think, a somewhat similar facility, maybe bigger in the Albany area, Latham. And Felicia Kalin is between Bill and I. She's the executive director for this new facility. They both express sincere appreciation to this board and how important this attribute is to protect in a power outage, to not lose food, to stay in operation. And even though power outages are pretty rare, once in a while we do have one that lasts a day or more. So that can be very impacting. So in addition, they invited the whole board to the open house, which is April 3rd. Maybe we can send out a calendar note if people would like to see that. It's 5 to 7 in the evening. I imagine there's a short program at some point, but it's mostly a tour through. And I'm sure we could arrange a private tour if the open house time doesn't work for anybody.
Yes, absolutely.
So, thank you all for supporting that great effort. Moving on to committee reports, I believe.
Yes.
The audit committee, Susan, And
I
Dean?
was not there, so Dean's gonna have to give the report. Unfortunately, I was out sick that day.
Okay, we missed you, Sue. Sorry that you couldn't attend, but we went through the finances for the parish reporting with O'Connor and Davies, and Melissa Sott and Colleen Harris gave us a report on that, and we had asked to bring it to the full board for approval.
Excellent. We have Melissa on later in the, under new business in this meeting, as well as in our next meeting, so thank you for filling in as chair for that committee.
Okay.
Questions for Dean? Moving on to the finance committee, Mark Green, please.
Really only one thing, all expenses and such were in line with previous months. We do have a investment that's coming due tomorrow. So we discussed the best way to go about this. We have $600,000 coming due tomorrow, plus interest. However, we felt it was prudent to only roll $500,000 over, because we're going to need that $100,000 to pay off that wonderful generator that we all just saw. So tomorrow, the recommendation is to roll that into a treasury bill at 4.02% for 9 months, to continue on with our strategy of having 3 months staggered, and that will put over 350,000 in our checking account, which will more than be able to pay the 250,000 that we have for the generator, and our monthly bills for the next 3 months, when we can reevaluate when the next investment comes due. So, any other questions about the finance?
Since we just reviewed that treasury bill maturity and suggestion for moving forward, can we take that motion and vote now?
Sure.
Knock that out. So would anyone care to make the motion to the recommendation from the committee on the
I'll make the
purchase?
motion.
Thank you. Second to that motion
I'll second.
by Giovanni. Other discussion, questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And if we could, Mark, I believe the committee recommended the February 2025 financials, as well as the February, March payables, which is in the board packet as well, and would need a motion to accept. So if someone would care to make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Dean, second to that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Susan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. That moves us along nicely to governance committee. Please, Linda.
Sure. Happy to report that all 5 board members were there for the committee, which I thank them very much for their commitment. We did have corporate counsel review the bylaws for the funding corp. There were no recommendations for any changes, but there's still some language that we want to clear up before we bring it back to the board for their full approval. We'll talk about it on the other side, but some policies will reflect back on the funding corporation. And we talked about the new formatting for our policies and procedures manual, which we're really kind of excited about. That book you got, it will be kind of replaced with something, I think, more organized and efficient for us to find. So that is the totality of my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Linda. Are we forgetting anything there, Bill? I think, and there was no action taken
No.
at governance,
I'm sorry, miss, did you mention the score sheet?
because that's in the funding.
It
course.
is. Oh, no, it's
No.
not. You're right, thank you,
Okay.
that's
It's on
why.
the other side.
That's why I didn't, thanks so much.
Don't confuse me.
So I think we're ready. Less questions for Linda with governance. We good? Moving down to the Paris report for the 2024 year. Bill.
Yeah, so we did put this in your packet, well, actually sent it separately because it was so enormous. We had both Paris reports completed by Julie Marshall of Harris Beach, who's our specialist for that, working very closely with Kelly and Marty, of course. They did a great job on that, collecting all the information, another great job this year. It's in there, you've seen it, you have a chance to review it. We do need to approve it before we submit our annual report to the ABO by March 30th, so that's why today's date is so important. There's only one change on the report, which is that one of our members is an elected official for a municipality, so we had to change that from a no to a yes. That's really the only change that you'll see on here from the version that you've seen. That is it. So looking for the board's approval of this Paris report so we could submit it to the authority's budget office.
Was that change in this printed copy? Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay, because that's what I'm seeing.
Yep.
Good. Questions on the Paris report? I have reviewed it quite closely. These numbers and answers were not available at the audit committee, but you got them by email, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Everybody good with those?
Yes.
Yeah.
We would entertain a motion then, please, for accepting the Paris report as written for the OCFC. Mark Green makes motion, Doc Oduck, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Could I just ask for a friendly amendment to the motion? The motion should reflect there was a change based on one of the board members, which was not in the document that we received.
Good point.
So let's make that motion again with that amendment.
You okay with that, Mark?
Yes, I will make that motion with the amendment.
Doc Oduck, you okay with that? And I'll ask for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same?
The second was Dr. Odak, you confirmed that again.
Yep. Very good. And that brings us to the 2024 financial audit, and Melissa Azat, please, who's in attendance.
Hello, good evening.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Nice to see you.
We should have, we're focusing on this PowerPoint presentation tonight. So we'll go to the first slide. So today we're going to be talking about some required communications as part of this audit process. We do have the IDA and the CFC together, so we'll go through the general communications. We'll jump to the CFC first. So on slide 3, as part of this external audit process, management and those charged with governance, which would be the board and the audit committee, would have certain responsibilities. Selecting and implementing appropriate accounting policies, making sure that those are appropriate. The financial statements, which you have received a copy of, making sure that those are presented in accordance with the United States generally accepted accounting principles. For the internal controls of the organization, making sure that you're establishing those and then doing a periodic review to ensure that those controls are maintained and operating effectively. Compliance with all of your laws, regulations, and contracts. Us as your external auditors, we do request a lot of information from the organization, so just making sure we provided everything. We did also meet with the audit committee on March 5th, so we did have a large discussion about all of the numbers in here, so this is going to be a more high-level presentation. And then for our responsibilities on the next slide, slide 4, we also have external responsibilities, forming and expressing an opinion. So in the financial statements, there is an independent auditor's opinion. We have issued an unmodified opinion. Sometimes you'll hear that as a clean opinion. That would be the best opinion that you could receive. We have issued a yellow book report, that's the report on internal controls, and then an investment report. We are required to communicate any deficiencies in writing to you, and I'm happy to report that there were no material weaknesses, as well as no significant deficiencies and no control deficiencies as well. We also advise management of the accounting policies, making sure that they're appropriate. There were no difficulties as part of our audit, no disagreements with management, and no uncorrected misstatements. So the CFC is going to be, we jump down to that, on slide 11. So on slide 11, you can see that we have the year-over-year income statement for the CFC. You have operating revenues, operating expenses, and then non-operating items. So year-over-year, your operating revenues, last year you did have some application fees. This year, there was no such revenue in 2024. If we look at your operating expenses, The significant jump was in your professional fees. 97,000 of that 105,000 related solely to the 16%, 84% split between your admin fees between the CFC and the IDA. The next increase would be your bad debt. There's a small change in your allowance related to the resiliency loans. But overall, in 2024, you had a loss from operations, so just your operating items of 122,000. You did have some investments, which we'll see on the balance sheet. So you did have interest income of about 83,000. So that lowered your loss to 39,000. So you started at the beginning of the year with 1.9 million. You ended at about 1.86. If we go to the next slide, that's your year-over-year change in balance sheet. So the biggest change here you can see is that your cash and equivalents dropped about 1.1 million, but your investments increased 1.1 million. So essentially you had one CD last year, this year you had one CD and two treasury bills. So there was just a movement between those two. Your total assets again just changed, overall 35,000. Your liabilities were only 4,000. Again, your net position, as we talked about on the previous, you ended at about 1.8 million. So that's my presentation on the CFC.
Questions for Melissa? And as Melissa stated, she went over these documents quite carefully with the audit committee there on March 5th.
Yes.
So with that, we would take a vote, I believe, approving these
Yes.
audit statements. Would anyone care to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Giovanni. Mark, a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Anything else that comes before OCFC today? I don't think so. Unless someone else has something, I'd suggest a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Susan. A second to that motion
Second.
by Linda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Our OCFC meeting is adjourned.